What's up, friends? It's your girl back with the most exciting video that I've ever wanted to film. So you know me, I love apartment shopping, and I'm coming up on when I'm going to be moving back to New York. So I figured I would do a video on everything that I've gleaned. Maybe it might be helpful, maybe it might not, but I know there's a ton of videos out there. I want to get my 2 cents. If it's not helpful, put it towards the bill. If it is, then you're welcome. That's my donation to you. But let's hop into it. So I have my laptop here with all the notes, but just some disclaimers before we get started. I personally am looking to live with people, so I'll be focusing on sites and stuff like that. Sites, tips, tricks on how to best maneuver that situation when it comes to the online market. I do think a lot of these tips can help people who are looking to live alone, or looking to move in with, or you have a group of people and you're looking to find a space that will fit all of you. I think these tips are helpful across the board, and you should definitely keep your eyes open for any other tidbits that might be helpful for your situation specifically. Also, my budget is $1,500 max, and that includes utilities, so $1,400 for the apartment itself, and then $100 estimating for utilities. I do prefer to be in Lower Manhattan, the financial district, Lower East Side, maybe even if budget allows, the Villages or Tribeca, places like that. But I lived in the financial district before, so I definitely want to stay there and want to go back to that area. But now that the housing prices are kind of lowering, I feel like I have a few more options when it comes to where I could live and how I can stretch my money as far as it goes. So we'll see what we can do from there. So when it comes to apartment hunting, I say start looking 1 month in advance. When you're looking 1 month in advance, you're not looking for apartments that you like. You shouldn't be looking with the idea that you're gonna get an apartment. You should be looking to see what you can get with your money. 1, what you can get with your money, and 2, what you want. So I think a lot of people jump into apartment searching without knowing like what amenities they really want to have, where they want to go, walk up or no walk up. Do you want to be close to transit? All of these other things, like neighborhood is so important as well. Like you need to at least have 3 neighborhoods, narrow it down to 3 neighborhoods that you want to stick in, so that you want to stay in, so that when you're like looking on these websites, you can narrow it down there. Because if you start searching all of New York City, you'll have so many options, especially nowadays, that like you can definitely get overwhelmed. I know I will be overwhelmed, so I definitely suggest start looking a month in advance, just so you can pick out what's important to you, what locations are important to you, your price, what are must-have, what are nice-to-haves, and stuff like that. Secondly, I know it sounds crazy, but I look on Craigslist, StreetEasy, Spare Room, Rent Hop, Facebook Marketplace, Facebook apartment groups, everywhere. There is so much stuff out there, so many places that you can look to find apartments in New York, specifically Manhattan. Even Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens. I used to live in Queens before and I didn't have to look for an apartment there, but when I was moving into Manhattan, I searched everywhere. Some tips when it comes to those websites specifically. I found my first apartment on Craigslist and it was awesome. My roommate was super cool. It was a great location in the financial district. The price was steep, but it was what I knew it was what I had to pay for that area, so I kind of level set with myself. But I wouldn't count out Craigslist. I would maybe use it as a last step. Like if you hadn't found anything anywhere, maybe I would take a look at Craigslist, but definitely don't put all your eggs in the Craigslist basket. So when it comes to Craigslist, I don't look at anything that's in all caps. A lot of people will post that their location is in like Greenwich Village when it's actually in Brooklyn. If I see that, dub. If it's somebody who's subletting at a really cheap price, a lot of people will do this and just pick pictures off the internet and say, hey, I'm subletting this place, because a lot of people started doing that during coronavirus. Like, I'm a doctor, I need to go somewhere else, so I'm subletting my place for a really cheap price. Like, the landlord has allowed it. It didn't happen to me, but I saw that one of those and I was just like, that's interesting. So I reverse image searched. This is OD. I reverse image searched the pictures, found the management company that was the management company for that building, called them and was like, hey, is this unit actually on the market for this amount of price? And they were basically like, no, that's all a lie. And I sent them the Craigslist link and everything, and they handled it on their end. But People are scamming. Scamming. I like to check consumer to consumer and keep my preferences as tight as possible, just so I'm not wasting time. That goes for any site you use. Always tighten your preferences, because that can take 1,000 listings down to 50, and that's what we're trying to do here. When it comes to Facebook groups, I wouldn't put a lot of faith into Facebook groups, because many of the groups are just breeding grounds for scammers and scammers and spammers. Like, there's just scam after spam after scam after spam. Like, there's just so much going on. But if you're looking to enter the city, it definitely doesn't hurt to just throw a quick bio in there about yourself and what you're looking for, and potentially let people come to you, so you can just kind of put all your eggs out there and let people come. The problem is, if you put your bio out there, sometimes you're gonna get those spammers that are just gonna message you and be like, hey, I have this, hey, I have this, hey, I have this. 9 times out of 10, it won't be anywhere near where you want it to go. It'll probably be out of your tax bracket, but these people are just throwing shit at the wall and hoping it sticks. So that's how they operate. So you kind of have to keep an eye out for all of that stuff. Another tip for Facebook is to search within the groups. You can search by, this is where having everything you want laid out is important. So like something I want in my new apartment is laundry, either in building, very, very close by, or in unit. So whenever I'm looking through these Facebook groups, I just search by laundry, and all of the listings that include laundry will come up. So I'm not just sifting through all of the other stuff. It makes it easier to tighten your options, just see what is available for you. And you can search by like laundry or washer dryer or washer or dryer to help narrow it down and only see listings that include that item that you want. One thing that's frustrating about Facebook is that you can't specify by borough. There are a lot of Facebook groups that are supposedly specified by borough, but they're not actually. Like, I'm telling you, people will just post something that's in the depths of Brooklyn and say that it's in Greenwich Village. And then when it comes to Facebook Marketplace, you can't specify. You can only like put a circular map of like a 2-mile radius on there, and then you can like search within that. So you can't specify by borough or neighborhood or area or section. You kind of just have to do that 2-mile radius as a whole. If you don't want to see anything Brooklyn and it's super small, you're still gonna see some Brooklyn things. So Facebook doesn't have as many narrowing and filter options as a lot of the other sites, but it's still helpful to kind of like throw things out there and hope they stick. Also, would recommend searching for apartments about $100 lower than your max budget, or set up your max budget $100 more than whatever you're willing to spend, because utilities usually come out around $100 a month. At least they did for me. And I like to know the flat number. I don't want to be told $1,500 and then actually be $1,675 after utilities. So to prevent that, I just search about $100 less. And yeah, that might stifle your options, but just think about what's in your actual price range, especially if your price range is strict. You want to get as much as you can, and you want to maximize your time when you're searching. So I would search $100 less. My personal favorite platform to search on is RentHop, and I like RentHop because, like StreetEasy, there's a lot of filters like StreetEasy, but I think it's more meant for people who are looking to insert themselves either into an existing rental or to get larger rentals for like 3 or 4 people when you're like moving in after college or something like that and you have a ton of friends, or if you need roommate matching. That is what I've been doing this time around, is working with a broker who does roommate matching, because I want to live in with multiple people, but I don't have multiple people to live with. You have all of your filters for washer dryer or dogs allowed or no flexes or sublets or stuff like that. One thing I really like is that they specify in the description, the immediate description, if it's a flex 2 or flex 3, because oftentimes in regular descriptions they won't say if it's a flex or not, or if a flex 1 needs to go up, or if all the walls are up or anything like that. So having as much information off the bat is really helpful. Also, it gives you information on the neighborhood itself. It gives you general information on New York City, then it can give you more information on the neighborhood itself. It has schools nearby, it has transit nearby, it has all of the information on the building itself, the overall building itself, and you can use it to search for studios or 1-bedrooms as well. But one thing that I really found helpful with RentHop is, so I was looking at this building, it's Midtown East. I was looking at this building in Midtown East. It's across the street from the Dalmatian with the taxi on it. I don't know why that's always what I think of. Well, if you look up that building and you go to their website, they don't have any, like, it doesn't show that there are flex options. And a lot of the things that, basically it only lists like 1-bedrooms and 2-bedrooms, which are out of my budget. But if you look up that address on RentHop, all of the buildings, all of the flex rooms that are in that building come up. So that's how you expand your options. Like, I wouldn't just stick to going to the website of the building that you're looking for. Try looking up that building on different websites like StreetEasy, RentHop, to see if you have other options that can provide you an option to live in that building. The best part about looking at places like RentHop is that it basically takes buildings that would be out of your price range and somehow finesses them in there, because there are a lot of, because of the state of New York right now, there is a lot of stuff that is on the market, but it isn't on the market. So you need to figure out as many ways as possible to see the full breadth of what's available in New York. And I think RentHop is a great way to do that, because it has flexes, it has 1-bedrooms, 2-bedrooms, it has it all. You could also buy on RentHop, which obviously does not apply to me, but a fun fact. I personally am not willing to pay a broker fee. They can run you a lot of money. Broker fee can be equivalent to 12 to 15% of your annual rent. That you have to pay that up front at the beginning. So not only are you giving up your first month's rent and your security deposit, you have to pay 12 to 15% of your annual rent at the same time. It's already expensive to move in, but like, having to shell out that much money in a short period of time is kind of scary. I've never paid a broker fee before, and I don't plan to as long as I live here. Also, the next place that I'm looking to move into, I want to stay for a pretty long time, not like 10 years, but I want to settle in and like stay there for 1, 2, 3, 4 years, so I can get the best bang for my buck, I guess you could say. And I'm tired of moving. This is like, unless we have another pandemic, maybe I'll move again, but like, I want to put down some roots and stay there and just don't have to worry about leases, don't have to worry about renewing, just doing all that stuff all at once. I'm trying to do that this time around. There's a lot of other fees involved with apartments, not just the apartment itself, but also moving. There are app fees, there are moving fees. Some people will make you rent out an elevator or put a deposit down for the elevator when you're moving, just so if you like damage it or any way, there can be like a $250 fee that they just take from you. So note there. App fees, I've seen them usually range like $20 to $100. They're not really that much, but just something to keep in mind. Yeah. New York law states that a landlord can only ask for up to 1 month's rent in addition to your security deposit, not anything above that. So beware of all the scammers. Once again, the scammers out there, those scammer landlords who are out there who will try and make you pay for last month's rent, first month's rent, and security deposit when that's against the law. They're banking on you not knowing that, so now you know. And then obviously you have the actual movers fees for movers, U-Hauls, all that stuff. If you decide to do a flex, if the flex wall is not up, you'll have to pay for the flex wall. That's usually split between everybody in the apartment, and it can run like $450 per person. It's definitely not cheap to put a flex wall up. That's why a lot of people prefer entering something that already has a flex wall up. 1, 2, oftentimes flex walls don't go all the way up to the top. It's a fire hazard. There has to be 12 inches between the ceiling and the wall. There are ways that you can get around that by putting in foam, or a lot of people just use foam to kind of put that up, but that's something to be aware of if you are looking at a flex room. They also rarely come with closets, and they're just kind of jiggered differently, because oftentimes they're just the living room or home office or something like that, so keep that in mind. Last but not least, I'm definitely thinking about making this a series because I feel like I have a lot of information out there, and I'm looking at my Trello board right now that like I kind of put all my ideas on, and this thing is long. I'm not gonna be able to, I don't want this video to be like 10 hours long. So I'm just starting with the first part, and then I'll probably post another one with a little bit more stuff, some more information that I think of, you know. Before you put an application together, make sure you have your shit together. Make sure you know and meet the necessary credit and income requirements for this building. Also, know if they can use guarantors or not. Basically, say you're moving in with 3 people. 1 of you needs a guarantor, 2 of you don't. Some buildings don't allow that. Either you use a guarantor, either everybody uses a guarantor for the entire room, or nobody can use a guarantor. That's something that my friends came in contact with, which I didn't know about before. So oftentimes the income requirement is 40 times the monthly rent is what you need to make annually in order to apply for an apartment. And if you use a guarantor, they need to be making 80 times the rent. If they do credit checks, the lowest I've seen required is 650. But that can rise or change depending on the price, location, budget, all of that stuff. If you need a guarantor but you don't have anybody to be your guarantor, they do have guarantor companies out there. I don't know why, it just bothers me. I just can't do a guarantor company. I don't know why. It's just, it feels like a scam to me to pay somebody monthly to be my guarantor. Like, it just feels like a scam. But you know what, to each their own. There are a lot of apartment companies that offer incentives if you use those guarantor companies, like $1,000 security deposit if you use Rhino as your company. Oh, I'm just reading here. If you require a guarantor company, you have to pay them monthly for being your guarantor, and sometimes the monthly fee is 80% of 1 month's rent. Sometimes they don't allow guarantors that are outside of the tri-state area. That is something that I've seen in some places, haven't seen in other places, but I know that for the places, I know that's gonna be a problem for me because obviously my parents, if they were to be my guarantors, are not in the tri-state area. I do have family that is in the tri-state area, but I don't believe that they would be able to be my guarantors. And then last but not least, a lot of times they will list out what you need in your application. Make sure you have that on deck. The problem now is that a lot of people will find an apartment and there's probably 10 more of that apartment on the market, but because people see this one certain apartment, they always want to go for it. And you can still get something snatched under you in this COVID environment, so you need to have your ducks in a row so that once you are ready, you can pull that trigger. Have that cashier, well, have the money in the account that you're gonna pull that cashier's check out of so that you can move quickly. Hopefully you don't have a small credit union bank because it's gonna take you even longer, but basically have all your ducks in a row. There also will require some other things. Let me see, I put it down here. Lots of times they'll require bank statements, either a letter offering you employment or 2 pay stubs, proper identification. Sometimes they may ask for a letter of rec from your past landlord. This may be asked later on in the application process if they are unsure about letting you into the apartment and want to make sure that you are operating in good faith. Yeah, that's also a thing. Like, if your landlord is worried about you paying, your upcoming landlord is worried about you paying rent, I would just recommend either getting a letter of rec from your old landlord, a letter of rec from your old roommate, somebody you lived with before, basically stating that you paid rent on time, they never had to worry about it. They have the means and capabilities to pay this rent, and I think that they would be a perfect fit for your apartment, da 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 da. That's probably the only thing I can think of once you get to that point in the application process that might stop a landlord from giving you that apartment. But it is definitely helpful to have like bank statements and a job when you're moving into these places. But if you don't have a job, if you don't have credit, that's when guarantors come into the picture. Like 9 times out of 10 you'll probably be using a guarantor if you don't have credit, if you don't have this, if you don't have that. But yeah, so I know that was kind of all over the place, and this video actually did go a little bit better than I expected it to. So I'll definitely be putting more videos out as I move back, and like, you know, a good moving vlog, because everybody loves that. I love to watch a good moving vlog and a good empty apartment tour, all of that stuff. So I'll definitely keep you guys in the loop as I'm doing all of that, film all that stuff, get all that stuff together. I also have been talking with my friends who are still in New York, and they are down to let me film their apartments. So I'm gonna start doing a little, hopefully like apartment tours of just my friends' apartments and people that I know and people that maybe that I don't know that maybe can expand out of there. I just really like watching these type of things. And one thing that you'll learn is that every apartment in Manhattan is different. Every apartment in New York is different. Like these apartments look so nondescript, and different things matter to different people. So you'll see in all the different options that are out there, and buildings and non-buildings and elevators and lockups and doormans and no doormans. There's a lot of things going on, but I will keep you guys updated. Super excited to get this out there. And to be honest, I'm probably gonna film the next few ones like right after this. So if you see me either in the same stuff or like the same nails or something like that, then you know what happened. But and I will see you guys on the flip side.